So we have a two-party system in the state of New York, and people have been frustrated by two-party systems for a long time in the United States. Founders had a lot of discussions about the merits of tyranny of majority. I've talked about it on this floor a number of times. It's easy to be critical of a two-party system, but if voters are thinking about one thing that's really handy about a two-party system, it's that you have a party function of vetting candidates before they run against the opposition party for office. That would be one good thing, I think, most voters, when they show up in the general election, would say, because you're not voting on 50 candidates that you have to research for governor or lieutenant governor of the state of New York. By that time, it's narrowed down to 2. So the voters have a selection of one or the other. It's pretty easy to see them debate on a stage. It's pretty easy to see the issues and how they compare and contrast. So we have this two-party system, and we have rules that govern it in the state of New York. One of the rules we're looking to change today, I guess, with this bill. But one thing that is nice about the two-party system is that parties can vet their candidates. And if they haven't figured out who they want to get behind, well, in this case, they can have a party primary. Currently in the state of New York, there's a Republican primary for governor and lieutenant governor. There's a Democratic primary for governor and for lieutenant governor. And both parties, while they may have not all gotten behind one candidate or the other, both parties follow the same rules of the state of New York and put forth primaries. Now, these candidates have, those parties narrowed the choices down to a few, right? The Republicans did, and so did the Democrats. And these candidates that have moved forward in the process, they've done their party vetting. They've done the petitioning required by the state of New York to get on the ballot. They've actually signed their acceptances saying, you know, I accept the party's nomination, and we've done all of our petitions correctly, and they qualified to be on the ballot as a Republican running for governor or lieutenant governor, as a Democrat running for lieutenant governor or for governor. There are 3 candidates on the Democratic line currently for lieutenant governor of the state of New York. One got arrested and resigned from the office of lieutenant governor. You probably know that, Mr. Speaker. 2 haven't been arrested so far and haven't resigned, at least the last time I checked Twitter, haven't resigned from any office as far as I know right now. So what's being brought forward here today with this bill? Well, it didn't work. The preferential candidate for the Democratic Party for lieutenant governor didn't work out for him. Oh, shoot, the top of our ticket when the fix was in within our own party for who we preferred in a democracy within our own party. So on June 28th, Democrat voters, there's no bipartisanship here. There's only partisanship. There's only one party showing up to vote in the Democratic primary for governor and for lieutenant governor. That's Democrats. And when they show up to the polls on June 28th, currently, before this gets signed into law, they have 3 options for governor and 3 options for lieutenant governor. Now, I can see why the party would be upset with that, because something went wrong back in step number 1 in the vetting process of one of these candidates. And that candidate, unfortunately, got arrested and had to resign from office. And for your party, I say, unfortunately, that stinks. But those are the rules. Those are the rules that govern everybody. So it's odd to me. Now, look, the fix is not in all the way to the general election. You still have the opportunity as Democrat voters to go out there and select a different lieutenant governor on June 28th in your party primary. So what on earth are we doing in the State House talking about partisan politics today? The fix is in. What on earth are we doing talking about scooting in a new candidate on the Democratic primary because, oops, arrest and corruption and the top of our ticket when the fix was already in for our own party primary? And it comes in with a message of necessity from the governor. Nope, not for me. That's right, Mr. Speaker. I said no. And well, you already know how I'm going to vote on this thing. But before I conclude my comments, I want to, and I butchered this quote the other night when I used it, and that was before this came up, but I want to get it absolutely right today because the 16th president of the United States said, elections belong to the people. It's their decision. If they decide to turn their back on the fire and burn their behinds, then they will just have to sit on their blisters. That doesn't mean if you screwed up in your own party process, you bring it into the state house and change the rules for everybody. Not for this election, not in perpetuity. If you screw it up as Democrat Party members in your own processes, then you sit on the blisters of Brian Benjamin and you deal with the consequences. Mr. Speaker, I'll be voting no.